Greetings to all of you. Welcome to this Gnosis and Self-Knowledge course that we are initiating with these recordings and video lessons as a motivational course you can get and then get access to the closest Gnostic center because we have so many Gnostic centers around the world. Through this course, we are going to give you all the information about how you can assist face-to-face in person to the Gnosis and Self-Knowledge courses. My name is Osvaldo Jimeno, Gnostic Structure, here in Holland, in Netherlands in this moment. And we are very happy in order to start with this training that, of course, is not only for a few months of our life, but forever, because we are going to try to feed our consciousness, our divine spark that we call essence or consciousness, in order to know better to ourselves. First of all, we need to talk about a little bit about the institution, Gnosis International or Gnosis Culture and Science around the world. We are established in more than 33 countries around the world, especially in South America, Central America, North America, and so many Gnostic centers in Europe. We are projecting our institution in order to open some branches in Asia next in the few months during this year 2025. So this institution study a very ancient knowledge that Greeks called Gnosis. We are going to see, let me share my screen and then see the presentation from where is coming the word Gnosis. The word Gnosis. Okay. The etymology of the word Gnosis, as I said before, is coming from Greece, the ancient Greece. They were the first culture that established this word of Gnosis that means, pay attention, knowledge and universal wisdom. This is the definition of Gnosis. Talk about Gnosis is talk about knowledge, always. For example, there are some very famous common words as diagnosis, right? Diagnostic, because diagnostic means clear knowledge, for example, about our health state. There is a diagnosis about the state of the engine in some kind of cars or vehicles, right? Always is talking about the knowledge, clear knowledge. Also, we can find, talking about the weather, the prognostic, the weather prognostic, right? Because always talks about the knowledge of the weather before that happened, during the day, during the week, during the month. Gnosis is a word, as I said, that means wisdom and universal knowledge, right? So we can say that also Gnosis as a transcendental and eternal principle is perennial. It doesn't have a beginning. Gnosis doesn't have an end, because we are talking about knowledge, about consciousness, right? It's eternal principle. And it's a universal philosophy studied by the most and main principal cultures around the world. Because if we talk about gnosis in front of the universal knowledge, we can find gnosis in the ancient Egypt. Also, we can find gnosis in the ancient China. We can find gnosis in the ancient Greece, among other cultures, for example, of South America, in Incans, and also in North America, Mayans, Aztecs, they already studied gnosis because gnosis is not a property of anybody or of any culture around the world because it's the wisdom of the universe. This is another definition that we can give from gnosis. Gnosis is the doctrine or the knowledge of the heart where your consciousness resides, right? It's not the doctrine or the knowledge only of the brain or of the intellect. Gnosis is the doctrine from your heart that means intuition, that means this kind of faculties, inner faculties we have that we need to develop through the Gnostic knowledge, of course. So it doesn't mean that the knowledge we can get from the intellect or from the mind uh, is not useful. Yes, of course, it's useful, but above the capacities of the mind, we need to develop the capacities of the consciousness or of the heart, right? We are going to show you lots of practices about how to develop these kind of faculties related to the sixth sense, that is the intuition. Also, gnosis as knowledge or wisdom is based in the four pillars or fundaments of the knowledge. That is to say, science, art, philosophy, and religion or mysticism. We use these four as a method of knowledge. We use science, for example, and we will explain to you topics during this course of Gnosis about anthropology, about astrology, about the science of meditation. We study lots of practice of meditation. We will show you how to meditate properly, not only to put your mind empty, but this is one of the objectives of meditation, but also in order to discover yourself psychologically, to study your life, your existence psychologically, and how to relax yourself among other uh, types of meditation. We also study the ancient pieces of science and works of art through the history of humanity, because through the art and through the science of the art, the wise and ancient masters gave us gnosis. If you analyze the word gnosis, have itself the word science. If you analyze this word grammatically, then you will find also the word science, because through the signs or symbols, masters of art gave us gnosis also. Philosophers as Socrates, as Platon, among other philosophers, through the history, also studied gnosis. They were referring to gnosis as a very depth, wisdom, and knowledge that is also studied nowadays through the Gnostic institutions. Because through philosophy, we pretend to answer us about these transcendental questions of the existence. Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? From where we are coming from? If I am 40 years old, where I was 50 years ago, before my birth? This is a very interesting question. Where we are going after we die? Hmm? These transcendental questions needs transcendental answers. So through Gnostic philosophy, we can answer ourselves about these transcendental questions. Also, the fourth pillar of knowledge is religion, mysticism, spirituality. But what is spirituality? Spirituality means that I read a spiritual book and give maybe my own interpretation of that with my mind. This is not the spiritual. This is intellectual of the spirituality. To be in real and spiritual person, we need to develop the capacities of the spirit, of the soul. That is to say, the seven chakras that are seven internal senses of the soul, plus five physical senses. We have, as a result, 12 faculties of the human being, the 12 uh, signs of the zodiac, the 12 apostles, 12 masters, etc., etc., etc. But related to the seven internal senses are the ones, if we develop them, that are going to give us the real knowledge of the spirituality. For example, astral projection faculty, to be conscious during the dream, among other experiences that we can have through the development of the seven chakras. So, yes, the initiatic life and the necessity to reach self-gnosis or self-knowledge through a life of purification of so many psychological factors we have as psychological defects, pride, envy, anger, lust, gluttony, greed, among others. If we eliminate them, then we are going to have a real purification and enter to the path of self-knowledge or self-gnosis and the initiative life that is going to lead us to the self-realization of our being. Also, what we were telling you, there is the necessity to eliminate the faults inside us, the psychological defects, since this subjective knowledge is that which impedes us from the ancient to the integral knowledge, right? We will show you through the keys of self-observation, retrospection, that is a kind of meditation, how to reach this goal. Through the three factors of the revolution of the consciousness. That is to say, birth, the wise use of our energies, psychological death, how to eliminate these egos, and the good works or sacrifice for humanity to help the others in order to have the right to be helped. Right? We need to share this kind of knowledges, help people in this or the other way in order to have the values that are going to serve us in order to be helped by the divinity or our inner being also. Okay? Don't worry, we are going to develop all these topics through the Gnosis and Self-Knowledge course. This is just the beginning. So uh, we are going to explain to you more in detail what it is about through the course. The purpose of this course is to give you just the keys in order to have a better quality of life, to know yourself psychologically, emotionally, and then get the integration with the spirit, with your own and inner being. So thank you for listening to me, and we will continue with the second lecture, that is personality, essence, and ego, in the next video. Also, you can study the complementary material through the link and the information attached to this video. Thank you very much.